Hey guys, it's me Tilly, and today we're back with the final abyss dungeon of tier 2. And let me tell you, we are in for a treat. Aleric Sanctuary has to be one of my favorite dungeons this far, and I hope you enjoy it too. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, starting off with the first boss. Before the encounter, you will split up in two different groups, fighting one boss each. The left hand side pretty much gets to chill during the first phase as you are fighting the shark, while it's on the right hand side to not wipe all 8 players as they are fighting the witch. The way you do this is by quite literally finding and collecting the golden snitch. Shortly before the phase ends and both parties are reunited, there will be a bunch of dark clouds spawning on the side of the witch. If you were to kill them, your party would get a stack of blindness. The more stacks you have, the more it reduces your vision range, which is especially bad in a scenario where you're trying to find something. This time the golden cloud really. So don't kill the dark ones, and once you spotted the golden one, you want to make sure to attack it. Whoever takes the last hit of the golden cloud will now be granted with a golden aura around him, and that's really the time when everyone is allowed to go to the middle of the room and head through the portal, which will now group you up with the other party, all 8 players being reunited, and you should group up within the aura because this will protect you from the incoming one-shot. Do make sure that if you are holding the aura, don't move around, just actually stand still to allow everyone to really cuddle around you. Now in this second phase, you just kill off both bosses at the same time. The golden snitch thing can still happen, but now you got 8 players to look for it, making it a lot easier. So right before the second boss, there's a mini boss that doesn't really do anything. It's not even declared a boss, but rather a challenger. So I just wanted to mention it so people don't get spooked out when they encounter it and they will be like, oh, Tilly didn't mention this boss. It's just really advanced trash. Moving on to the real second boss though, first up you will notice how your camera moves a bit different when you issue a movement command. And it actually turns the entire arena, which can be a bit trippy at first, but you will get used to it sooner than later. And I actually found this to be really cool whenever they do funky stuff like this with the camera in Lost Ark. However, let's talk about the one thing you need to know about this boss, and it's the wipe mechanic. For that, you really want to take a look at the 4 pillars around the outside of the arena. During the wipe mechanics, the boss will target one player with a little red arrow pointing at the player's head. That one player has to now stand in front of the pillars, since the incoming attack of the boss will destroy the pillar and pretty much save everyone's life. If you don't stand next to it, it's just a team wipe and you have to start over. So always make sure to be somewhat close to a pillar, especially later on in the fight when there's only few pillars left. So just in case you are the one being designated with the task of destroying it. I should also mention how this attack does deal a lot of damage to the marked player, so please make sure to use an HP potion, stay healthy before the impact, because I'm talking about like 30k damage on that attack. Just try to survive so you will have more players to fight through the boss, making it easier. All of the other players are marked with a much bigger red AoE that deals damage to nearby allies within this circle. So your main priority is to get away from the pillar destroyer, because he doesn't have the freedom to move wherever he wants. Other than that, just try to not have any other player within your AoE. The circles can overlap, that is fine, just no other body. After finishing off this boss, you get thrown right into the last boss. And this one, much like the end boss of the previous dungeon, will require you to set up positions before the encounter, which you really have to do before the second boss, since as I said, there's no break in between the bosses. But if you forgot to do so, you could just wipe it out on the first attempt and then do the positioning. I will throw a graphic on the screen showing all of the different spots to cover. This mechanic will not wipe the party, but rather the one player failing to do it, since the spots are individual safe zones to protect you from incoming damage. However, if you players already die during it, you might as well want to start over, because the boss is really designed in a way where you want to keep as many players alive throughout it as possible. Please be told that those circles you see right here are not 100% the fixed spawn locations of the spots themselves, since they are slightly randomized, but they are rather zones in which the actual spot can appear. The way you know it is time to take your position is when he teleports to the middle and starts casting a skill with those tridents floating around him. There's also going to be some water animation on the floor. You'll be easily able to figure it out after seeing it once. Now, since the boss will take some time to explain and there's going to be a bunch of different mechanics to keep in mind and that I will cover, there is going to be a too long didn't watch version at the end of the full explanation, where I run down everything in just as few words as possible. So if you want to work with as little info as possible, go there. For everyone else who wants to see the full explanation, you could use this one as a summary to make sure that you got everything. Alright, let's jump into the mechanics of the actual fight. I hope you got used to helping out your imprisoned friends by now, since in this fight, if you see a purple HP bar underneath your friends, you have to kill it as soon as possible, because they are in big danger and might even die from it if you don't release them in time. Next up, there are these frozen AoEs he spawns randomly. Stepping into them will cause you to be the center of a rather large AoE that freezes your teammates when it explodes. So please make sure to move out of the group if you happen to catch it. Talking about freezes, pretty much all of Aleric's attacks do stack up a debuff on you that once it reaches 5, pretty much does the same thing, freezing your allies around you. So you either just avoid all of the incoming attacks, or you move out of the party away from the boss to safety, let the debuff run out. I've been told that using a panacea should also get rid of these stacks, so that is an option. During the entire fight, these blue orbs are floating around the map. You can't destroy them yourself, only the boss can damage them, and once killed they release a high damage frontal AoE indicated by a red cone. So just move out of it really. I wanted to mention this one, even though it's pretty straightforward, just so people don't get confused about these orbs, or so they don't think they're missing something. It's really just ticking time bombs that you have to dodge every now and then. Now let's talk about the most fun part of this fight. At 28 and 12 bars, there will be a stagger check that needs to be finished as soon as possible, since it is only the first of 2 threats going on at the same time. Right as he starts casting, there will be yellow orbs spawning all around the edges of the arena that will slowly move towards him. And you want to deal with them before they reach the water barrier surrounding the boss. However, as I said, there's no point in dealing with the orbs right away, because you need to complete the stagger check first, otherwise that one will just wipe you out. So, max out the DPS on the stagger bar. Use your whirlwind grenades, keep your awakening skills, keep your high stagger abilities for this check. Again, it happens at 28 and 12 bars, so do keep an eye on his HP and don't use your high impact skills right before, but rather keep them. Once the stagger check is complete, you want to leave the center area and deal with the orbs. There's actually 2 different kinds of yellow orbs. The easy to kill one that have a dark core, you just attack them until they're gone. And then there are bright glowing ones that you won't be able to kill. So the way to handle them is by throwing a sleep bomb at them. So remember to equip them before the fight. Do keep in mind that you can't attack them if you slip them, because otherwise you will wake them up and you will have to deal with them again. Somebody else has to throw a bomb, or they will just reach the center. You really want to spread out for this phase to cover all angles. I would just suggest you to keep or to take similar positions as you do during the safe spots. Once you get the boss down to 20 bars, aka 50% HP, the fight gets real since he enters some sort of mini berserk and enrage. Some of his attacks will just deal more damage, some of his attacks will just have wider AoEs, so the overall fight just becomes a slightly bit more challenging. Apart from that, all of the mechanics you already know will keep going, and there's one more mechanic, being the freezing orb, which spawns at random location, and you can see it by either noticing it being slightly different from all of the other blue orbs. I will try to show it on screen right here, or noticing the ginormous AoE that's going on. It has to be the biggest AoE you've ever seen. It's actually that big that you might not even recognize it as an AoE. So I will try my best to make it visible on screen right here. If you can't spot the orb itself, but the AoE, one neat thing to know is the orb will always be at the center of the AoE. So either you're close to the orb and can spot the orb itself, or you are too far from the orb, but you can see the AoE, indicating which way to go. After some time, this orb will explode, freezing every player within the AoE, which will be pretty much your entire party most likely, given how big the AoE is. The way to avoid this is by simply moving into the orb. That freezes the one player doing so, however it's better to take one for the team than having everybody frozen for like an incoming vital mechanic or something like that. And if you even use your space dodge to pick it up, you won't even be frozen yourself due to the CC immunity it provides. This mechanic really requires everybody in the party to pay some attention, since, as I said, it spawns in random locations, and if you are the closest by, you just want to go there as soon as possible. But even if you're not the closest by, you want to start moving towards it in case your party just doesn't see it. Alright, that's about everything I wanted to cover, so let's jump right into the summary. Before the fight, assign positions for safe spots and equip whirlwind grenades, sleep bombs and panaceas. During the fight, liberate your imprisoned teammates. Move out of the party if you picked up the freezing AoE. Use panaceas on 4 stacks to avoid freezing your party, or just play it safe and take some distance if you don't have panaceas. Take your position during the safe spot phase. Complete the stagger check as soon as possible using whirlwind grenades, then move out and kill dark yellow orbs while throwing sleep bombs at bright yellow orbs. Pick up the freezing orb at 50% to avoid a party freeze. And finally, just don't die from any of the other AoEs while killing the boss. Now, I hope you are able to conquer the last tier 2 dungeon after having watched this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, as I will be uploading more videos for Lost Ark in the future. But for now, thank you so much for being with me, have a great day, and I see you next time. Or maybe in my Twitch streams, I don't know, up to you. Bye!